When God gives you an opportunity, He isn't expecting you to become someone else to fulfill it. Everyone has tried to force a puzzle piece to fit in a space that is not made for. Make sure you don't lose what makes you unique. And trust that my authenticity will be enough. There's a difference between organic growth and simulated change. Don't be limited by certain industries, qualifications, or experience. This is your opportunity to dream. They are muscles that must be exercised in your now so they can be strong for your future. Hello guys, how are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Achenge from Kenya, but currently I live in the capital, which is Nairobi. And if you're a Chisco, you already know how we do it. Thank you so much for always coming back to check up on your girl, to know how your girl is doing. I'm doing well. As you can see, I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fabulous. I'm looking so fly. And I thank God for life, guys. I have just woken up. I was to do the second live, but I just realized how tired I was. I couldn't even like race. I couldn't even like get up from the bed. You know what I mean? So thank you guys so much for coming into this session, as you guys call it, the story time session. So I understand each and every day we get new people on the channel. So if you're new, this is the book that I have been reading. This is The Woman Evolved by Sarah Jakes Roberts. So this is the first book that I'm reading. Okay, this is the first book that I've started off with. So if you're a book lover, please stick around. This channel is all about positivity, good vibes, and also for self-improvement as well. So my first videos are always on my channel are always we start always with this book. Okay, so if you're a book lover, please do not make it your last. Stick here. Here is the best place to stay. Okay, so without any further ado, so yesterday we did chapter 5, but we didn't finish chapter 5 just because I didn't want us to get overwhelmed, you know. So today we're gonna proceed with the chapter 5, then finish up with a bit of chapter 6. Okay, stick around, guys. So the title for today, not basically like the title of today. So the title you're gonna start with is Don't Discount Now. By the way, you may or may not have noticed that I have been vacillating between calling Eve by her name versus woman in quotes. That's because up until Genesis 3:20, Eve is only referred to as the woman. When Adam named her, he gave the woman a unique name given her condition. Adam named the woman Eve, the mother of all living. I couldn't help but wonder why Adam named this childless woman the mother of all living. I initially saw it as Adam giving Eve a constant reminder that she was given a responsibility to produce seed. Why would Eve need a reminder that she was called to produce seed? Because as she got further and further away from God's declaration in the garden, she may have run the risk of forgetting that there was a promise connected to her ability to make room for what God said in Genesis 3:15. I was satisfied living in the concept that Adam named Eve based on where she was headed and not where she was. But then I saw an insight that changed my mind. I believe Adam gave her this name because of who she already was in that moment, not who she could potentially become. She didn't become a mother because Adam wanted to remind her of what to keep reaching for. She was named the mother of all living because of the organic expression of how she cared for all that was living at that time. When the woman was named Eve, The only form of life that existed was the vegetation and the animals that God had placed in the earth before her. While she, while she may have not been a mother in the traditional sense, she was given the responsibility to use where she was as practice for where she was headed. I doubt very seriously that Eve was as confused by her name as I was. She had no point of reference for motherhood that could make her feel like caring for animals and vegetation was a demotion. All, all, all Eve had was her present circumstance and a calling that extended beyond her. How often do we discount our now because it doesn't reflect where we've been called? We fail to realize that our now qualifies us for our next. That is amazing. Our now qualifies us for our next. Let's talk about that. Most of us know that Eve eventually gives birth to children, and we will dive into that later. But before she gives birth to her own children, she learns to become a mother by nurturing what is around her. She learns to become a mother by nurturing what is around her. This is a valuable lesson worthy of digging into because so many of us think that when we arrive at a certain role or position, then we will innately possess the characteristics, work ethic, and communication skills that will make us successful. We all remember growing up and critiquing how our parents raised us, resolving, when I become an adult, I'll never do that. While many people worked at not being like their parents, others found themselves repeating the same things they vowed never to do. They didn't realize that there's okay, sorry, they didn't realize that there's no magic switch they could flip to help them turn on a different style of parenting. My husband openly talks about his lifelong desire to be a good father. He is an exceptional father to our children, and I attribute that success to him because that desire in the forefront of his mind. Okay. It became the guide that determined what we would do, what he would do or would not do. Professional goals require a similar intentional focusing. A person who aspires to become a CEO one day doesn't become a leader because she's at the helm of a company. A woman becomes a CEO because of how she executed everything that came before opening the business. When I dropped out of college, I waitressed at a strip club. Mhm. But my first real job that didn't include dark rooms. Okay, let me read that again. But my first real job that didn't include dark rooms, loud music, and scantily clad women was as a receptionist for an international aviation company. Oh wow. Guys, I'm not even messing with you, but this is kind of like it's like speaking to me, like it's like me in this book, like reading this part. Like, guys, let me just tell you before I proceed. I also waitressed in a club. Yeah. And apparently, my parents do not know that. Nobody in my family knows about that. But anyway, here I am, you know. That was just a by the way. Okay. Then later I got a very, very interesting job. Actually, this part is just me. As a single mother, I was so glad to finally have a job that allowed me to have more traditional work hours. I was working as a temporary receptionist with the promise of becoming permanent if I did well. On the organization chart, my role was admittedly the lowest on the totem pole. That didn't matter to me. I was so thankful to have the job that I wanted to make sure my presence added impact. I was hungry to establish my professional identity and to release the belief I had in my ability to work in a corporate environment through my work as a receptionist. I had no team, support staff, office, or even an extension, but you couldn't tell me I wasn't running things. I created and improved systems for maintaining office supplies. I helped the I helped the executive team host luncheons and meetings with presentations that kept the clientele's culture in mind. I was the first one there in the morning and one of the last to leave in the evening. I skipped lunch, opting to eat at my desk instead of leaving the door unmanned. I submitted timesheets and payroll reports from our contractors to my supervisor to review and approval. My numbers were always double checked, reports alphabetized, and on her desk before she arrived in the office. If I was given a project or task, I turned it around long before it was due. It didn't take very long before my work ethic began to stand out among the team. I wasn't just doing enough to get the job, with plans to relax once the position was secured. There was a standard I set that I knew I could maintain or surpass because it was organic to how I was able to produce in the other areas of my life. Remember, my passion wasn't connected to the position, it was connected to my desire to grow in the environment. In the same way, the position you are in could be the job of your dreams or the practice field of a lifetime, but it's never time wasted. Fast forward to more than a decade later, I'm utilizing those same characters that allowed me to stand out as a receptionist to lead the business I now own. Creating environments, listening intently, and serving with joy play pivotal roles in how we guide the experience and content we curate at Woman Evolve. Working it out. This is like a what a brain exercise for us. Grab your journal and imagine yourself at the height of success. Don't be limited by certain industries, qualifications, or experience. This is your opportunity to dream. Running a fashion, running a fashion house, heading up a Fortune a 500 company, teaching at a school that considers a student's total well-being. Whatever it is, jot it down. Then think through these two questions. Question 1. What are the most important character traits you must possess to maximize your dream role? Question 2. How are those skills showing up where you are now? It's naive to think those skills emerge overnight. They are muscles that must be exercised in your now so they can be strong for your future. Sarah Blakey sold fax machines in 1990s, but doing so did not come naturally to her. In an interview with the Entrepreneur magazine, she shared how she was so terrified to approach prospective clients that she would burst into tears and drive around the block to regroup before going inside the building. She could have allowed the fear and anxiety to make her back away from the career altogether, but she had a vision that one day she'd no longer be selling fax machines because she had her own product to sell. She allowed the now she was living in to prepare her for where she was headed. Where did she land? Sarah Blakey is the founder of Spanx, which I'm almost certain in some kind of manner from heaven. Okay. Would she understand consumers, sales, relationships, and presentations the way she does now had it not been for her start selling fax machines? Probably not. The only connection I can see between shapewear and fax machines is Sarah Blakely. Where you are right now may not be connected to where you will land, but where you are right now will serve you when you get to where you are headed. While you are exercising the muscles you'll need for the journey ahead of you, make sure you don't lose what makes you unique. When I think of how successful women are depicted in entertainment, they are generally very different from how I perceive myself. They are direct, sharp, quick on their feet, and intuitive. My natural leadership style is much different. I am a feeler. I lead with my heart and I trust my gut. I like to make sure my team is doing well on the inside. I've been hurt by words in the past, so I try to be conscious of saying things in a way that teaches but doesn't wound. I haven't had many examples of this type of leadership style. And when I began working with business partners and building the infrastructure for the Women Evolve movement, I wondered if I was too soft. I tried for about 12 hours to put on my best Miranda Priestley impression, and it just didn't work. I decided to ditch the act and trust that my authenticity would be enough, no matter where it showed up. There's a difference between organic growth and simulated change. When you grow, there may be parts of you that begin to take on a new form. Never apologize for that. When you force yourself to fit a mold created by people who don't value authenticity, you cheat on yourself and become faithful to an image you can't maintain. This is exactly what happened to Bozoma St. John early in her career. A colleague suggested that she never wear red nail polish or red lipstick in the workplace. She told Bozoma it would be too bold of, of a message to send and she wouldn't be taken seriously. She took the advice but eventually abandoned it. It's not natural to me. It will make me unproductive in what I do because I will be so focused on being quiet that I can't really show up. Bozoma is currently the chief marketing officer for Netflix and has proven consistent upward mobility throughout her impressive career, all while keeping her bold presentation intact. By bringing your whole self to work, you can bring full ideas and the wholeness of you, said St. John. You are the only you, so why not bring that? When God gives you an opportunity, He isn't expecting you to become someone else to fulfill it. He created that opportunity for a specific, authentic version of you. The counterfeit version of you may squeeze into that space, but eventually you will have to choose to be who you truly are or risk not being able to experience the fullness of why God has placed you there. Everyone has tried to force a puzzle piece to fit in a space that is not made for. You cram it in there and try to ignore the fact that your thumb almost went numb trying to smash it in. You don't acknowledge that the lines aren't quite adding up. You are so ready to move on to the next part of the puzzle that you don't think that one little piece will matter. Then what happens? You can't even enjoy the rest of the puzzle because you see that one little piece bulging out from what was supposed to be a beautiful picture. Moral of the story: don't be that awkward puzzle piece, sis. Sis, did you hear that? Don't be that awkward puzzle piece. So we are done with chapter 5. We're gonna continue with a bit of the chapter 6. We're not gonna finish the chapter 6. Okay, so the title of chapter 6 is It'll Never Add Up. But he said to them, you give them something to eat. And they said, we have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fish, unless we go and buy food for all these people. Luke 9 verse 13. What do you think is the most important miracle Jesus performed? I already know somebody just thought turning water into wine in their head. Stay focused, my friend. I personally don't think that's it. Jesus performed so many miracles that never made it to the Bible, but of the ones we are told about, one sticks out in my mind. In all honesty, I don't think this miracle was necessary. Throughout the Gospels, we see Jesus perform wonders that change people's lives. A lame man walks, a dead girl comes back to life, a blind man sees, a woman is healed from an incurable flow of blood. Even the water to wine miracle, which was what kickstarted Jesus' public ministry. The miracle that stands out in my mind seems somewhat unnecessary given there was another alternative. Here's the backstory. Jesus was preaching to the multitude, which simply means a lot of people. The Bible tells us that there were about 5,000 men in attendance. Most theologians believe the number was likely double that because the patriarchal systems at that time alienated women and children and did not include them in the official count. As the daytime drifted to evening, the disciples told Jesus to send everyone away so they could go into town to get something to eat. This doesn't seem like an unreasonable request, given the people had the ability to pay for their food and there was no disability or danger prohibiting them from returning to their home. Jesus gave his disciples a shocking response. He directed the disciples not to send them away, but instead said to them, you give them something to eat. The disciples responded, We have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fish, unless we go and buy food for all these people. Luke 9:13. This is where your girl got stuck. The disciples had come up with a reasonable solution for the hunger of the crowd. The solution will not create any undue stress or anyone involved. Yet, Jesus insisted they look beyond what was reasonable and discover how they could be obedient to the command he gave them. Pivotal shifts don't occur without unreasonable requests, but that's another book for another time. In John's Gospel, we learn that a young boy in the crowd had the 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. It certainly wasn't enough to feed 5,000 plus people, but the disciples offered it as a possible solution anyway. That is John chapter 6 verse 3 to 13. I've always thought this text about an unnecessary miracle had so many layers to it. and I've had messages preached in church with about 1,000 different applications. But for our purposes, there are a few perspectives I feel will serve you in folding this next dimension of what you are becoming. So guys, we're gonna end at that. So tomorrow we'll continue with the chapter 6. We've just read like a few. I'm not even, I feel like we've just, that was like more of introduction to the chapter 6. From tomorrow we're gonna continue with the chapter 6. Okay, guys, I'm super excited. I'm doing this with you guys. You have no idea how excited I am to read this book, guys, with you. And I hope you've grasped something. If you've been here from day one, from chapter 1, then I hope there's how you're seeing things, that's how I know, there's how you're taking things, okay? And I'm super excited that this book is gonna change how we see things. This book is gonna change how we respond to things. This book, it's like a fuel. Like yesterday, if you read the yesterdays, if you listen to the yesterday's reading, okay, it says the topic of the book was to fuel your purpose. I hope you found your purpose, and I pray that everything works well on what you've been wanting to do, although things might not be as although things might not be as well as you wanted to be, but I'm super grateful at least you are somewhere. So I'm so grateful. So guys, I told you the main reason of me for I'm gonna repeat that until you get tired of it. The main reason for me reading this book, I told you, is to improve on my public speaking skills, and I thank God I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So thank you guys so much. See you tomorrow and have a lovely day. Okay, make sure you leave a sweet comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about today's session. Okay, until next time, you guys. Bye.